What's up guys, this is Rohan, and in this video we're gonna talk about how you can use PBR materials in your 3D renderer. For this video I'm gonna be using PBR materials in REDSHIFT, but the same technique can be applied to other renderers as well. So before we get into how to use PBR materials, let's talk about what PBR means and why you should use it. Now, PBR stands for physically based rendering and means that the material describes the visual properties of a surface in a physically plausible way such that realistic results are possible under all lighting conditions. Now, I know this can be really hard to digest and I just read this directly from the internet, but I'm gonna make this thing clear for you to understand. I'm gonna make this simpler for you to understand, but let's talk about why you should use PBR. Now, there are many different reasons to use PBR materials. One of the main reasons is that they give really high quality results, which can make really good materials for you to use in your project. The biggest thing for me personally is that they are very easy to use and they can quickly generate materials. These are the two main reasons. Now, the easiest way for you to understand is that just consider them texture maps. Texture maps basically meaning there's specific images which you can use with your 3D renderers. Now, if you guys don't know about the basics of REDSHIFT, I would recommend to check out one of my REDSHIFT videos in which I talked about some properties of any material so that you can understand this video as well. What you have to do is that you will get different, when you download PBR textures, you're gonna get these different images. Now, what you can do is use those textures with these different properties of a material in order to generate the look based on the texture map or the images which you're getting. So I know it can be pretty hard to understand this. Let's dive right into Cinema 4D and let's talk about this while I use them. Alright, so guys, here we are in Cinema 4D right now. Let's just create a plane, a simple plane, and it will be more than enough for you to understand. Alright, a simple plane. And I'm gonna just turn on REDSHIFT right here so that it can render. And what I can do is just create a light. Go to REDSHIFT. I think area light will work for now. By the way, you can use this without any light, but the look is gonna be much better for you to understand. Alright, I think this can be a little too much intensity, but we'll see that after we make those materials. Now what you can do is create the materials. So this is like the basic stuff. I've talked about this thing before in my previous video. Go to REDSHIFT, materials, then go to standard material, and it will take some time to create. The material has been created. We can add that onto the plane. Now see this, we can get the result right here. Now let's start using those PBR textures. Now on default you get this thing. Alright, now as I've mentioned, right now what's happening is that all the properties right now can be customized manually by yourself. Alright, so you can do all, you can change the color, you can do anything. Here in reflection you can change the color, roughness you can change, everything you can do manually right here. But the thing is, what PBR does is handles all this stuff. So what I mean is that I'm gonna start with the color. I have downloaded the PBR textures already. What you can do is there's multiple websites through which you can download different PBR textures, one of them being Ambient CG, which I used in this video personally. You can go to their website, and two of the texture packs which I'm using right now are from the first page of Ambient CG, so you can find those. First I'm going to use this rock texture. Alright, this rock texture. Now you can see multiple different images. Alright, and this is the preview which you can see. This looks like this, but keep in mind that these textures are gonna give different results in every single renderer. The reason is every single renderer has its own look to it. So suppose I'm using this in REDSHIFT right now, the look is gonna be completely different than what you will see in Arnold or suppose Octane. So keep that in mind. It's not gonna look the same like this because I don't know which renderer this particular preview is made in, so I cannot tell, but it can be similar to this. Alright, there's gonna be a little bit difference, that's it. So keep that in mind, guys. Now we have these maps right here, guys. For the color, what we can do is drag the rock color. Now what happens is that different website gives different names to their texture. Alright, so here they have given the name color. Alright, in some PBR texture packs which you download, the names are going to be different. Suppose instead of color it's going to be like diffuse. Keep that in mind, guys. Diffuse color and color is the same. All right, it's base color, diffuse color, it's all the same. So if you have confusion is that, keep that in mind, guys. With other properties as well, you're gonna see the same thing, so keep that in mind, guys. But with experience you're gonna understand what is for what. All right, now this texture, what will happen is that this texture, now how this texture looks, let me open it. All right, click on edit image. Now the color of this texture is going to be applied directly on our object. All right, this texture will go right here in the base color property. So what you have to do is just hold on this and drag it to this blue area of the standard material. Right, then click on base color. Now see, this is logged right here. The reason it's logged is because the color is being generated by this texture map right now, so you don't have to do this manually right now. Now see, you can already see the result right here, guys. All right, let me zoom it. You can see the result already. Pretty easy to understand, right? Now similar with other stuff as well. Now only the color has been determined. All right, nothing else has been changed. On default the reflection is like on 1 and the roughness is on 0.2. So all the areas are same. Now the next thing which I'm going to talk might be confusing for you depending on how long you have been using 3D or any other softwares. These things are kind of applied in Adobe applications as well, like Photoshop and stuff like that. We are going to use the roughness for the roughness. All right, this was for the base color. Now as you can see, the color value right here is selected from this color tab, right? Like suppose here in reflection the color is selected like this. You can kind of feel confused, like how can we change this numerical value by the texture? All right, how we can do that? And this thing was confusing for me in the beginning as well, like how can a texture map determine the numerical values, right? Let's bring the roughness map. All right, now the roughness is you can get confused a lot of times. It's not diffuse roughness a lot of times, it's just gonna be reflection roughness. All right, so always put the roughness map into reflection roughness. All right, not the diffuse roughness. I'm gonna drag it right here. Now what you can see is that this is a black and white map. Now how it can be used, basically what this map, this image, all right, whenever I say map, don't get confused by the image. I'm saying map because it's generally used in this, so keep that in mind, guys. I just basically mean the image. You can see it's just black, white and gray areas. Now what it means that wherever there's a white area, completely white area, suppose, all right, that is basically 1. All right, the numerical value 1. And where there is complete black, all right, I don't think so. If there is, I think this area is complete black in between, but most of the values are going to be between white and black. All right, so wherever there is like complete black, which means the numerical value is going to be 0. All right, to whatever you connect. The ones which are gray are going to be between 0 and 1. So I hope that is understandable. I don't know if I did a great job telling you that, but you can understand slowly when you use the same thing again and again. That's what I did personally, and you can do that as well. So let's just put that in reflection and reflection roughness, and you're gonna see some change in the render view. So I added it. Now from the top you cannot see that much change, but if you come closer you're gonna see some changes, guys. All right, now what you can see is, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. The reason is also that I don't have any other objects nearby this flow, nearby this plane, and if there's like only a single object you might not be able to see it. So what you can do is create a different object for you to understand, and there's only a single light. All right, so the scene is very simple, but if it's complex you're gonna understand the difference. But here as well, what you can see when I zoom in is that wherever there is white area, it means that the roughness is on 1. All right, meaning it's not reflective at all. What it means is that it just blurs out the reflection completely. And whenever there is a black area in that texture map, all right, wherever there's a black area, that area is gonna be the most reflective because the roughness is 0 right there, guys. All right, I hope that makes sense to you. As you use this thing again and again, you're gonna understand this. And now I'm gonna be using displacement, which follows the same thing, so it's gonna be easy for you to understand that properly. Right now you cannot understand that much because it's pretty hard to see reflections if there's no objects nearby to it and there's only single light. But with using the displacement, you can clearly see the difference, guys. So let's use the displacement one. Now the displacement, this is the displacement map. All right, so let's bring it. If you drag the displacement here, as you can see, there's no place to add the displacement, and the reason is because I don't know about other renderers. I think with Arnold and REDSHIFT, I think this is the same, that you have to create a displacement node in order to add displacement. All right, so bring a displacement node and add it to the texture map. All right, and you can then add it to the output and then displacement. Now you're not going to see any changes. The reason is there's another thing with REDSHIFT and other renderers as well, that displacement is literally changing the geometry of your object. So the 3D software has to give permission to the renderer in order to change the displacement. All right, so keep that in mind, guys. What you have to do in order to give 3D renderer permission is by going to the plane, right clicking on it, go to render tags and add RS object. All right, now go to geometry and click on override. All right, enable tessellation and then displacement. All right, now you can see there's a little bit of displacement. Now I have to give a really close look for you to understand it, but you have to do this in order to see the displacement, guys. As you can see, when I clicked on this displacement, there was a little bit of change. You might not notice what exactly happened. If I increase the value, you're gonna see the difference, guys. All right, now it's on 1. All right, most of the times keep it subtle, guys. I'm increasing this value for you to understand this properly. Right, let me increase it to like 10 and just see the render view. All right, at the same time. Now see, you see the cracks and stuff like that. Do you see completely? 1 and 10. See the difference, guys. 1, 10. Whenever you are using displacement texture, always increase the width segment and the height segment. And if you don't have the primitive object, I think you should try to increase the polygons in your object. There's a lot of ways you can use loop cut and stuff like that. All right, keep that in mind. You have to use displacement. All right, now the next is which one should we do next? I think ambient occlusion. Now ambient occlusion, you might not see a direct way to add it. All right, there's no specific property for ambient occlusion, but what I personally do is that just add it in the overalls. All right, so what you can do is go to geometry and overall color, and there's gonna be some change. All right, it's very subtle. You can read what ambient occlusion does. Is basically it just makes the shadows look better. Ambient occlusion were used in older games in order to create illusion for the viewers that the shadows are looking much better than they actually are. All right, ambient occlusion is kind of like an illusion basically. All right, so you can add a little bit of it, but what has happened these days is that the render engines and everything has been so advanced that you can create all the high quality textures and stuff like that without using ambient occlusion, but I just use it anyways. It just add a little bit of more detail, that's it. Now the next one is gonna be the most confusing thing. All right, the most confusing thing, I just know a little bit of it, like how it works, but let's dive right into the normal maps. All right, now here we have 2 options. All right, most of the times when you download from websites, you're just gonna see one of them. All right, so we have 2, normal DX, normal GL. And now what I personally think is that this is for DirectX and this is for OpenGL. Now I know you might not be familiar, but if you have DirectX installed in a computer, just use this one. All right, I don't know when is OpenGL used, but personally I have like NVIDIA graphics card and stuff like that, and I have DirectX installed in my PC, so I'm just gonna use this for now. The best way to use normal map is by putting that into bump map. Now there's a thing, all right, you might not understand, like, why does this look so weird? You can understand what black and white means. It can, the 1 is basically white and the 0 is basically black, but what is this? Like, how can it map on textures? And it's really confusing because it does not work like that. All right guys, it works kind of differently. Now how the normal map works is that a normal map uses RGB information that corresponds directly with the X, Y, and Z axis in 3D space. So this is not based on the white and black value. This is based on how the XYZ value work in 3D space. Now it can be really hard to understand it, but I think it's just a different way, all right, or it's just a different way. And the way you can use this is by adding it on a bump map node. Now for adding the bump map, what you have to do is create a bump map node, all right, and connect it to the bump map. All right guys, bump input, and then connect this to geometry and bump input. Now as you can see some changes right here, all right, and it's because of the bump map. Bump map and displacement both work in pretty similar way. So displacement is actually changing the real geometry of the object. Meanwhile, the bump map is not doing that. Bump map is again creating an illusion, which you might have seen some paintings and stuff like that. What a lot of painters do is actually they are not creating any geometry, right? You're seeing a painting, but you can understand which area is kind of displaced above and which area is kind of displaced below. The reason you are able to tell that is because they are creating an illusion. All right, the painters and artists are creating illusion that it creates the paintings look like they are in actual 3D space. So that's what the bump map is doing, and that's why the normal map should be connected. Now you can use white and black textures on this bump map as well. All right, the results are gonna be pretty different. That's it. You can actually use the normal map directly to this displacement node. All right, I guess there we have it, guys. These are the textures we had. I can do the same with another texture which I have. We have like an extra stuff right here. All right guys, we have metalness right here, so we can use that. The easiest way to replace this is by just going to the texture node, and instead of, you can change the path. All right, just add different texture here and everything will change. I'm gonna stop the render view and I'm gonna do that. All right, now I have replaced everything right here, but this texture pack doesn't have the ambient occlusion, so we can just disconnect it. All right, and instead of this, what I can do is just delete this. All right, and what I can do is drag this metalness right here, and this one is extra right here. All right, in that ambient occlusion was there, in this metalness is there, so it's little different right here, guys. To add metalness is by going to base and then metalness, and there we will have a result. I'm gonna turn on the render right now, and there you go. Now it looks pretty weird. All right guys, looks pretty weird. The reason it looks pretty weird is because we have to add like a dome light in order to see this properly. Now you can see it because it was just dark in general, that's why you were not able to see it. Here you can see everything properly, guys. You can change the settings. I think you should play with displacement and the bump one, because they can literally make or break your material completely. And you can pretty much do this with different objects. This is like a simple primitive object and it's literally a plane, so it's really easy to use right here. But if you use some other objects like platonic or some weird stuff like complex, then there's gonna be some problems. But if you have UV mapped it properly, then you might be able to do it. All right, in this video I'm not gonna talk about that, otherwise the video is gonna be really big and you're just not gonna enjoy it, guys. And if you are not able to do UV mapping, you can use a triplanar node. Now again, I'm not gonna talk about this in this video. I'm gonna make a completely new video on how to use these two techniques. Otherwise, this video is gonna be like above an hour and something like that. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe. Recently I reached 100 subs and I feel pretty good. I've been getting views and stuff like that. You can check out my Instagram as well. I post a lot of stuff right there. You can check my portfolio out. I'll be providing the link. You can check my portfolio out. I'll be providing my link in the description. See you guys in the next one. Peace. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye.